Kitsap gardeners, rose care is easier than you think. Here to demystify and simplify it for us is Elena Williams, Master Consulting Rosarian. Elena, why do people think roses are more difficult to grow than other plants?
They're not really more difficult, they're just different. People assume that it means fussy. They're not fussy. Modern roses bloom all season. They do need specific care that you can put on your calendar.
So to simplify for our planted viewers, what are the three most important aspects of rose care?
Spring pruning, water and fertilizer, and insect and disease management.
Okay, and the importance of timing of those things?
Very important.
Okay.
This is why spring pruning happens late February or early March in our climate. The best roses come from new growth. Roses that have been in the ground for 2 or more years most likely need pruning. What you'll look for is dead, dying, diseased, damaged canes. Those are the ones you'll clip out first.
Okay.
And then you will take the rose, the height of the rose, and lower it by 1/3.
So what about climbing roses?
No, climbing roses are a different kind of pruning. You want the long canes to continue to grow, so you look at the base of the rose.
Okay.
And you look for the oldest canes, and you can tell they're old because they're not bright green, they'll be gray. And you take out 1/3 of the total number of canes for a climbing rose.
When do you start watering and fertilizing your 255 roses?
Well, I start watering and fertilizing right after I do my spring pruning.
Okay.
I use organics first, something like alfalfa meal, scratch it around, and then water it in. And that's the first fertilizer that I use.
Okay.
Then I wait until I see buds forming, and then perhaps I'll sprinkle lightly a chemical fertilizer around to really give it a total boost.
What about mulch?
I do mulch.
Okay.
It's a very good habit to get into because you can water retention.
Okay, and then when do you start your watering?
Early June, because that's when we're going to have the beginning of our summer drought here in Bremerton.
When it comes to insect and disease management, how do you approach it?
Identifying the problem is the first thing to do, and then water washing for aphids and spittlebugs. If it's a disease, I like to make sure I understand, the common fungal diseases we get in our climate. We have a really good book by Dr. Ritchie. It's called The Rose Doctor. It's one that'll help you identify what's going wrong. Before you go out and treat your roses, you need to identify what the problem is.
Right, and I think where you situate them in the garden helps with prevention too.
Right. If you know the disease resistance of a rose and you plant it in sun with good air circulation, you can prevent a lot of issues.
And then I understand some pruning can help with disease management as well.
That's true. Certain roses are susceptible to black spot, and if you see that, then you can start pruning from the bottom up because black spot comes from the bottom up.
Okay, it splashes up from the soil onto the leaves.
That's what happens.
So you can remove some leaves and towards the bottom and prevent it.
That's right.
Okay, excellent. You must have fielded a million questions about rose care.
Well, the question I get most often is that you can't grow roses organically using organic techniques and using no chemicals. And that's just not true. We're lucky in our climate that roses will grow very easily.
Yes.
I do a combination of them. I very rarely use chemicals. Get on the problem right away, then you don't have to, bring out the big guns.
Right, and hybridizers are understanding that a lot of people don't want to use chemicals at all in their gardens, and so they're making adjustments in the roses they grow.
That's correct. The hybridizers have been hybridizing because they understand people don't want to use chemicals in their gardens as they did back in the 1960s and 1970s.
Yes.
And so we're buying better roses now than, maybe you have a Tropicana or something your mother grew. Well, maybe that's not the best rose for today.
Right. Well, we can't go into a ton of detail about rose care in this video, but the Kitsap County Rose Society can help, right?
Yes, the Kitsap County Rose Society is an educational organization. We're affiliated with the American Rose Society. We do pruning clinics. We visit people's gardens. We teach people how to sharpen pruning tools. We have good programs at every meeting that have to do with rose horticulture.
Well, we have rose resources to share, but I want to know your absolute favorite, and you already mentioned it.
I did. The Rose Doctor by Dr. Gary Ritchie. He's from Olympia, and he has beautiful photographs photographs and explanations to help you diagnose any insect or disease from our area or across the country.
Thank you for making rose care approachable for us.
You're welcome. I just love when I can help gardeners grow better roses and be able to enjoy their beauty with less work.
Yes, beauty with less work. That's our gardening goal. Until our next episode of Planted, remember, the more you grow,
The more you know.